All right, y'all, new segment alert. Today we're going to be starting a new segment on the channel called Black Tea, where we talk about the tea and the gossip of yesteryear and just talk our shit. And today I wanted to sip on some tea about America's former sex symbol and heartthrob, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was an American actor who was most active on the stage and screen between the 1940s and the 1960s during Hollywood's golden era. And it's very clear to see, I'm sure, from these video clips that I'm posting, why he became America's heartthrob. The man had swag and sex appeal out the ass. Like that is an I know I'm fine smirk, and then the little eye roll lip lick. That's the I know I'm fine, but I don't know how fine I'm being right now. Like, I don't know how sexy I'm being right now. Everything about this man just oozed sex appeal and swag, but he also had this sort of boyish charm and charisma to undercut it that made him, not insufferable about it. He also had this very sweet, soft voice that I found very endearing and charming, that I also think helped to endear him to audiences. So quickly, Marlon Brando became like the archetype of what was considered a sexy ideal. One thing about Marlon was that he was not just a sex symbol in name alone. He wasn't just a sex symbol on stage, he was a sex symbol off stage as well, because Marlon Brando would fuck anyone and anything that he deemed worthy of him, black, white, male, female, regular, or celebrity. It did not matter. If you caught Marlon's eye, you was catching Marlon's D. And one of the people who caught Marlon's eye was a beautiful black woman by the name of Lena Torrence. Lena Torrence was a B-list actress and model in the black community. Lena, I don't know really how they ended up meeting. I'm pretty sure because Marlon definitely seemed to hang out with a mix of crowds. Like I said, not just A-list celebrity types. He would also mingle with normal people, and he did not mind being in black crowds or white crowds. This is actually backed up by another story that I read about him and Quincy Jones. They would all hang out together, and I believe they would go salsa dancing. And according to Quincy, Marlon had swag even back then. Like, Marlon was a little dancing somebody, and he would flirt and he would carry on with anybody that, male, female, black, white, brown, it did not matter. And so in one of these instances, he had him a little thing going on with a cute little black girl, little Miss Lena Torrence. And if you kind of start digging into this story online, it's really hard to find a whole lot on this story, and that's probably because the white media, the white press, it doesn't seem like they really covered it a lot. Now, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of existing materials from the late 1940s, as far as old gossip rags and things like that. I'm sure are not still floating around readily anymore. But I also I wouldn't be scared to bet that the white press did not want to publicize Marlon's dating life with Lena any more than Marlon himself already was, because at this point Marlon was a newcomer to the screen. He was MGM's newest it boy. He was going to be the next big thing on the MGM screen, in the MGM family. And so if it had gotten out too far to the masses that he was messing with this beautiful black girl, that could have actually damaged his career. So I'm sure they probably wanted to keep that under wraps, but honey, Jet Magazine didn't care. Jet Magazine had all their business out there, and according to the Jet Magazine article, several years ago, Hollywood glamour girls burned with jealousy when ruggedly handsome Marlon Brando, fresh from Broadway triumphs and riding the crest of one of the biggest buildups in the history of filmdom, arrived in town and began dating attractive black movie bit player Lena Torrence. To the amazement of the movie colony, Brando reportedly escorted Miss Torrence to a top-shelf party and played the attentive escort. And some more gossip. Marlon Brando, star of A Streetcar Named Desire, was seen at Broadway's Club Birdland with an attractive Negro girl. She was a frequent visitor on the Warner lot during the filming of the picture. Now, it doesn't name Lena as the girl that he was seen with. However, the dates line up because Lena and Marlon were seeing each other around 1948 when Marlon was filming Streetcar Named Desire. So I'm almost 100% sure that this was Lena that they were referring to. And it would have been one thing if Marlon was kind of hiding Lena, or again, treating her with, kind of treating her like a little floozy or a little fling. But what surprised everyone and took everybody by surprise, not even was the fact that he was dating this black woman, because we all know that white men have been out here fluting and philandering with black women since the beginning of time, pretty much. But it was the fact that he was, like they said, he was very attentive to Lena. He actually courted Lena properly, the way that a man should court a woman, as he should. He was taking her to these upscale parties. He was, very attentive and kind, and basically treated her decently. And I think that was what caught people by surprise. I think the other thing too was the fact that Lena was not like this light, bright, darn near white squint, and she kind of looked like Lena was a darker skinned black woman. And we all know that white women's beauty and appeal is built on opposition to black women. So the fact that Marlon was not only dating a black woman, but he was dating a visibly black woman, like, you ain't gonna mistake Lena for nothing else. I think, it might not be tea today, but I could see how that was definitely some tea back in those days. But like I said, if it was one thing Marlon didn't give, it was a damn. He might give a fuck, but he wouldn't give a damn. And so Marlon was out here doing what he wanted to do. He was having him a good little time. And Lena was too, honey, because he kept her laced up. Apparently, Marlon showered her in gifts. He gave her money. Lena was definitely sitting paid and pretty on Marlon's arm. I don't know why the relationship ended up dissolving, but I do know in the research that I've done, it seems like Lena got married sometime around 1949. So I'm sure she probably wanted something serious and probably did not see anything serious with this white boy, this heartthrob, white male heartthrob of America, who's on to bigger and better things while she's over here playing maids and slaves and shit. So I'm sure she probably wanted to marry someone, for one thing, that it would be socially acceptable for her to be with, and for two, that she could have probably seen herself having a real future with her. And it seems like that was honestly for the best for Lena. Sadly, it doesn't seem like her relationship to her husband lasted long, not because anything bad happened between them, but unfortunately it does seem like her husband passed away very early on in their relationship, sometime in the early 1950s. I did read that Lena did continue her career in a sense. It says that she continued to star in productions, but it looks like her film credits pretty much peter out around the late 1940s or early 1950s. So I'm not sure if she was still in films, maybe doing like small uncredited roles or bit parts that nobody kind of cared to give, or if she was maybe doing like stage productions or working on Broadway or something like that. But it does seem like she remained active in her career, at least for a little while. And so, pretty short, like I said, these are just little tea segments, but I just felt like that was a fun little story. I know when I read it, I wasn't surprised because I knew how Marlon Brando got down, but I was definitely surprised to see those little articles. I was like, okay, they were out here publishing and everything. And I was also surprised by the fact that, Marlon was so bold with his dating Lena, because like I said, he was like the new golden boy of MGM. So the fact that he had this black woman on his arm openly was one thing, but like bringing her to these high-end parties where there is press and gossip magazines, I mean, like I said, had that gotten too far out of the Hollywood circles, them white girls out here in America, they would have canceled Marlon Brando faster than you could say cancel culture. Okay, they would have. But Marlon is one of my favorite old Hollywood male figures. He is definitely my old Hollywood celebrity crush. I would have taken a spin on the Cyclone. I am not surprised or mad at Miss Lena. I'm sure she was out here having her a good old time, honey, getting her some good money, some good gifts, and some good D. I would have been right there with shoot, I would have been right there with Miss Lena. She got her bread, got her head, and left. And I ain't mad at her, because now one thing Marlon was not finna do was settle down and act right. He was not about to do that, honey. Marlon was very amorous. I think he was one of those people who was built for polyamory. Like, some people are just cheaters, and some people I truly think are made to be polyamorous, and I really feel like Marlon was the kind of person who was built for polyamory. But we going too far. That's another story for another day. Marlon will probably definitely come up again, because he is just such a fun and interesting, like, figure in the Hollywood, like, old Hollywood, like, story and history. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed our first Black Tea segment. We will definitely be having more. Let me know if there's any old Hollywood figures that you might want a little tea, little gossip on. And until next time, y'all, deuces, silly gooses.